New Fox polling shows 86% of voters are concerned with the cost of health care. That concern level, by the way, is going up. New York Congressman Mike Lawler joins me now. Congressman, you voted with the Democrats, so do you want to extend the subsidies?
So, Stuart, we have two major problems. One is the expiration of the enhanced premium tax credit at the end of this year, which will cause a spike in premiums for 7% of the population that relies on that. The second problem is the fact that healthcare costs across the country have risen by 96% since Obamacare took effect back in 2010. And so when your own polling is showing that 86% of Americans are concerned about the cost of health care, Congress has to act. My point has been to get a bipartisan agreement with reforms to extend the ACA subsidy. We worked in good faith for weeks to come to an agreement. We had a 2-year extension with income limits, insurance reforms, elimination of zero premium plans requiring a $5 nominal fee to help root out fraud, PBM reform, and HSA expansion, which is in line with what the president wants. We worked to get Speaker Johnson and House Republican leadership to put that on the floor. Ultimately, we couldn't come to an agreement. And with time running out, 4 of us signed a discharge petition, which will force a vote. And what will happen when we come back in January, we will vote on the 3-year extension. It'll go to the Senate, where it has already failed, but it'll give the Senate a vehicle by which to send back to us a compromise bill. That is my objective. That's why I signed the discharge, to actually force a vote and get to a solution. Doing nothing is not an answer. Okay. We passed a secondary bill that will reduce healthcare costs by 11%. But there's a lot more work to do, and that's what I'm focused on.
Congressman, thanks very much. That was a good explainer of a very confusing and difficult situation, which, frankly, I find very hard to follow. Thanks for the report there. I want to change the subject. President Trump's reclassified marijuana to make it a less dangerous drug. This is despite some GOP backlash. You don't like the president's move. Why?
Well, my biggest concern is tied to the THC content. If you look at the THC content in marijuana, 30 years ago, it was about 3.5%. Now it's upwards of 18%. In edibles, it's anywhere up to 95%. So this is an issue that has to be dealt with. When I was in the state legislature in New York, I opposed legalization of recreational use precisely because of this issue. So to me, reclassifying this drug, instead of addressing the THC content first and regulating this correctly, is of concern to me. Marijuana is a gateway drug. Some people want to dispute that. The reality is many people who are doing hardened drugs started out with marijuana. And when you look at the substance use disorder crisis in this country, and the fact that you have so many people dying on an annual basis from overdose, from drugs, including fentanyl-laced products, which is precisely why the president is going after the narco-terror state in Venezuela and the cartels. But simultaneously, we have to address the substance use disorder and the demand in this country, and you can't do that unless you actually deal with things like the THC content in marijuana.
Yeah, maybe some regulation of the THC content of products sold in these dispensaries. Congressman, great stuff. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thanks,
Stuart.
Stuart.
Have a wonderful Hanukkah and Christmas. Thank you.